So, hey everyone, how we doing? Back again with Coach Ray. This is Be Beautiful Podcast, Episode 3. My name is Cody, for anyone tuning in for the first time. I am the owner and president of Be Beautiful Foundation, our nonprofit project aimed at promoting a healthy and active lifestyle for individuals living with developmental or intellectual disabilities. With me, of course, is our head of our athletic trainer, my coach, good friend, ex-professional triathlete, Raymond Botelho. Ray, if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Yep. Thanks for having me again, Cody. Hi, everyone. My name is Ray Botelho, a longtime triathlete and coach. And I wanted to talk today a little bit about uh, training and what goes into it for someone who's possibly over 40. But before
Okay.
we, okay, I'm sorry, Cody.
Yeah, so Ray, I just want to make sure before we get started, I know some really big news came out recently having to do with your health, and I know you wanted to give a message to everyone. So I just want to jump right into things and open the floor and let everyone know that we're going to be talking about something a little bit personal in your life. And I know it was a big deal for you to finally open up and let the public know about it. And I just want to make sure everyone knows we're going to open today with a more of a personal message and also a public service announcement that I know you want to make. So we're going to give the first couple of minutes to you and let you do your thing.
Thank you. Yeah, before we get into today's topics, I want to just say to everyone, thank you very much for all the support, kind words, all the donations and gestures and that sort of thing, all the support and the backing. I'm really really humbled and overwhelmed. I really appreciate it. So just quickly, I think the way this was introduced to the public was a little bit alarming. I just want to assure everyone that I am healthy at the moment. Luckily, my lifestyle for the past 30 years and living a very clean, strict lifestyle has bought me some time. I've been living a pretty normal life. I've kept it private because I wasn't sure of a few things and I wanted to learn first. So I've learned a lot about transplant and organ transplant, specifically kidney transplant. I went up to see my team and we discussed everything, went over a plan and what I need to do. I have no options. My option is inevitably I need a transplant. But like I said, I bought myself some time. So, let's say a year, okay, something like that. I'm not taking it for granted. So with that being said, I'm living a normal life. I get regular blood checks. I see my team specialists all the time. I have support at home. Um, and I basically, if you go back, I've been dealing with this now. I knew of this about 2 years ago, and it really hit hard about 18 months ago, where I went in for a sort of a follow up to see if my kidneys were functioning better after a little incident that I had with training. And turns out they're not. And it's not linked to anything to do with, my career or my jobs or anything like that. It's literally just sort of bad luck. They think I may have come across Lyme disease at some point in my life. It could have been 20 years ago. So what happens is, there's no really signs until you get to sort of, unfortunately, the end stage of I was having severe headaches and blurred vision, very, very high blood pressure, those sort of things, which are very dangerous. So we're controlling that stuff now. Like I said, I'm under really good care. I actually just coincidentally, before I found this out, I took a break from definitely from racing and also from training. Different than what I've been used to for the last, going into 4 decades, but that was okay. I was focusing on my personal training and my coaching business. But anyway, I found out that with these issues that I had to sort of take a little bit of a break, and so I did, no problem. And then but I have worked myself back up to decent form. I've been carefully exercising all along, but I'm slowly but surely increasing, the dosage, if you will. And so far, so good. But we are planning for this, this transplant, and I'm not depressed. I'm not afraid. I'm just gonna, it is what it is. But again, with that being said, you do not have to give up. You don't have to, sit around, be down because, I was given a chance and a gift, and I want to keep, living the life I'm used to. And I think, like I said, being healthy and having the lifestyle that I've had, a very strict, healthy lifestyle, it's bought me some time. Otherwise, I may be they don't want to say, but I'm okay. So I just wanted to get that message out there because a lot of people that I just don't see very often, or people that have seen me in public, I look totally fine, and I am. It's just my insides are a little bit off, and we're working on it. So thank you again, and I just want to let everyone know that I'm, as of right now, living a normal life, but I have a lot ahead of me, and I'm just planning it out. That's all. So thank you.
Yeah, right. That's great. And so for anyone that wants to either participate in the fundraiser for you or wants to contribute in some way towards your kidney transplant, is there anywhere they can go to find more information or to make a donation to the
Yeah, I
GoFundMe
mean,
page?
there's the links are out there on my social media and that sort of thing. My team, my support system, they're taking care of all that stuff. That's one thing that I'm not. I just yeah, I don't know what to say when it comes to the generosity from people and stuff. I'm doing my thing and I'm trying to like just prepare and be healthy and still really what's most important to me is my family and my business, which is everything to me. So my training is, down, it's not on the priority. Yeah, my social media, you can find it. A lot of people have shared it. I'm just very flattered. And yeah, so that's, my website, Facebook, Instagram, it's been
Mhm.
circulating. Slow Twitch, thank you. They wrote a nice article. So yeah, so if you want to talk to me about it, I've learned a lot about being a donor and then being a recipient and then what life is like after. And I also want to be an advocate for it just because I'm in the situation I'm in, or if someone else out there is in the situation that I'm in, do not give up. I'm not in denial. I feel good. So I'm going to run with it,
Mhm.
no pun intended, but I am, and I'm going to be positive and I'm not going to drag everyone down with me. It's just not my style. But I want everyone to know that I appreciate it and I can help, I can show you, that someone with, I'm basically at the 20% function of my kidneys, both kidneys, so that's not even equal to one half of one. When I speak about that, I'm talking about I have one kidney working at 20%. So you only need one, luckily. So that's a bonus. And having the most versatile blood type is also a bonus. A little bit easier of a match for a donor. So yeah, so like I said, anyone wants to learn about it, just had nothing to do with me. If you want to learn about it, I'm available. So anytime.
Right. And right, I know there was a lot of questions that came out when you finally made this announcement. The biggest one being, how does someone like you, who professional triathlete for nearly 4 decades, um, end up with an organ failure or an organ that's failing? You've made a career and a reputation for being one of the healthiest people on the planet and one of the most physically demanding sports there is. Um, Along your journey of kind of gaining more information over the past couple of years, is there anything that you want to share with everyone in general about how something like this could happen, or about what kind of checks are the most important for athletes to see their doctor about, or even just anything about the process for the importance of organ donors? I know we had talked about that previously. Anything like that you want to share?
Sure. Well, first thing, my advice to you, please, I implore you to get regular blood work done. Get physicals, check your blood pressure. Don't just assume, because you're an endurance athlete at any level, that you're, okay, or you're healthy, because, not to offend anyone, but technically, this sport is not good for you in extreme doses. Meaning, people that are chronically overtrained, no rest, no recovery, things like that. Again, I've always been a preacher of like heart rate training and go slow and take days off. I'm not a compulsive person. So I try to, yeah, preach that to that everyone at any level, at any ability should take a day off. Honestly, because again, I've seen what it did for me. So I peaked I peaked my career in my 40s. And that's significant because you're not going to find many 40 plus professional triathletes. You're just not. And so it's not an excuse. It's not a gimmick. It's a fact. You don't generally see professional triathletes racing well into their 40s, let alone at 40. Okay. And the way the sport's going, it's getting more and more competitive. The envelope's being pushed, and I feel like careers are going to be shortened because of the mentality now. You have all these race series, and everyone's just more and more and more and more and more. And that relates to when I first got into the sport, it was about more and more and more and more and more, because we had not a lot of the science that we have now and the metrics and the data and the instruments. So guys were just trying to do more than the other guy, their buddy or their competition, trying to do more and more and more, train 8 days a week, if you know what I mean, and just go for it. And a lot of those guys, and again, they're my age. I'm going to be 52 this month. That's the era in which a lot of these guys have health issues. They do, and I know what it's from. It's from overdoing it. Period. And I don't. I'm okay with I'm okay with how things turn out for me. I didn't love the training. I loved racing, and I loved that it was hard, and I would love that I was good at it at any rate. And I put what I felt like I wanted to put into it, and I got some good results, and I learned a ton. And I think I was more meant to be a coach and a mentor and a trainer than be a professional triathlete. I mean, I did fine. I'm okay with how I turned out. As a former professional triathlete, I'm still going to race again. I'll race age group. I'm an older guy now. Still have. I don't. It's a mental thing. I don't feel 52. I feel 32. But that's beside the point. But I feel like, please, like I said, lessons learned. Get regular blood work. Get regular physicals. Keep your blood pressure in check. Watch out. Watch your A1C. That's popped up lately. That's a big topic with endurance sports because a lot of sugar involved, and a lot of misconception about what sugar does to you and that sort of thing. And none of that has anything to do with what happened to me. It's plain and simple bad luck, Lyme's disease or something. My kidneys slowly started to deteriorate, and again, because I was so healthy, it didn't. We didn't discover it till there were extreme things happen in my body, like the severe headaches and the blurred vision, that sort of thing. I had a little bit of a higher blood pressure, but we took care of that. But the damage was done. So some people asked me, they said, was it all that Gatorade you drink? It's like absolutely not. It has nothing to do with it, and nothing like that. There's no. There's no like drug use or anything. It's just, it's just unfortunately bad luck, but I can fix it. And again, I'm lucky because I took care of myself. So that's the key. And that's what I was told by all the doctors and my team. They're like, you are an anomaly because usually someone with what you have, the end stage kidney disease, the end is near, so to speak. But I'm going to be fine. I just need to get this done, and then But as far as it's about the over time stay on your checkups and listen to. I will be honest. Maybe I was told a few times over the past 10 years that my blood pressure was a little bit high, and I can say I kind of ignored it a little bit. I mean, I kind of was like, because I've always had a very low heart rate. Again, we know what that's from. I had years and years and years of aerobic training, and I've always been one of those weirdos that believes in low intensity volume. I'm not a compulsive guy. I believe in taking rests. And again, I saw what it did for me. Over 40, you're not, it's a different plan. You just have to buy into it that you need more rest time. You can still do the intensity, you still do the volume, but you need rest. You need recovery time. any athlete, any level needs it, because what's going to happen is you're going to shorten your career. You just are. Or if you're an amateur or a novice or a beginner, you're going to get chronic injuries. You
Mhm.
just are. Um, I have an orthopedic nurse practitioner in my family, and the stories, obviously, incompetence. There's all kinds of issues from overtraining.
Mhm.
Someone comes in with a bad foot or a bad knee. It's like overdue stuff. You can go on. I can go on Strava and see people are just overtraining, and I'm trying to get a message out to please, you don't need 7 days a week. You really don't.
Mhm.
And your health, a lot's going on, and you can damage your body if you're not,
Mhm.
and this is kind of proof that I was, not I'm not being a hypocrite. I was doing all the right things, because that's why I'm still here. And not
Yeah.
in worse condition. They said that we can tell that you have really been, um conservative or moderate with your career. I mean, you have. I mean, I've gone weeks without training, or days without training, or I had never had a problem. So I don't know. I think that's a good thing. So it makes me a good mentor, I believe, because people, I feel like in this day and age, it's like I want more and more and more. Go 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 go! All the pressure of social media and everything. Just please. I mean, I know it works. I saw what it did for me. So if it works for me, it works for anybody. It's just rest.
Yeah.
It's not a gimmick. It's rest. So
So, right. And we really do appreciate, you coming out with all this information. I know there's more that you want to eventually talk about as you learn more. Um, I think the one of the biggest questions from the community is probably, we know you. You've touched so many people in the sport. We know we're gonna see you on the start line again at some point. Do you have any idea what kind of recovery period this surgery is going to look like, or how long you're going to be out of commission for?
yeah, I learned pretty much the whole process. I spent a day up at Mass General in Boston, basically the best place to go in the world, right?
Mhm.
Very lucky that I'm an hour away. So yeah, they basically said that, again, someone in my condition, meaning as healthy as I
Mhm.
am and everything genetically, um, probably be banged up for 2 weeks. No way out of that.
Really?
2 weeks of very, very still, very,
Oh,
very
okay. Okay.
comfortable, rest at home. I'll be under
Oh, really?
close.
At home?
Yeah, yeah. I'll go home after like a day or two.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. That's good
but
news.
under very, very close surveillance, because any little thing can go wrong. Very susceptible to, like, basically anything. My
Mhm.
immune system is going to be at ground zero, starting over, so susceptible to colds and that sort of thing. So that's 2 weeks, and then the recovery time is anywhere from 2 to 3 months. Obviously with the incision and stuff like that, we got to be careful lifting stuff. And
Mhm.
so I would say three months of just of recovery to, before I can, do anything sort of what I'm used to doing.
Mhm.
But again, I believe the healthier you go into something like this, the better you could come out of
Mhm.
it. And again, this could happen anytime between, like, the soonest it could happen would be probably 6 months, and then it could be a couple years. Hopefully not, but and then they say, "Hey, get up here, we're doing it," and
Mhm.
then from that time, it's usually, they said more or less 3 months. But again, not to keep, bragging or whatever you want to call it, but, like, again, because I'm in the condition I'm in, it's going to be there's it's sort of uncertain in a
Mhm.
good way. People, they're, overweight or older, or they have other
Mhm.
underlying conditions like my. That's another important thing to mention. My organs, all my other organs, my lungs, my heart, everything is good. Like,
Mhm.
there was a little damage from the period that I sort of didn't even know this was going on, but it's that stuff is reversing and getting better. Again, because I've been working out all along. I mean,
Mhm.
as little as lifting weights at months and months at a time to, now I'm introducing some endurance, stuff, and swimming, and running, that sort of little bit of running, and mostly cycling, because it's very
Mhm.
conservative. I'm being very conservative and careful. Um, so yeah, so that's how it will go. And whether it's a a living donor or unfortunately someone who was deceased, it's very quick. It has to happen very quick. So and the to be honest with you, you can ask Joanna. The only question I had for these people, because they just covered it all so
Mhm.
well, I said, "What is it like for the donor after?" And
Mhm.
they explained it to me, and I was a little bit um, I don't know, sensitive to that. I wanted to know, and it's really not bad. I mean, we only need one kidney, and they'll have some recovery time, and they'll maybe take a few meds for a little while, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine. It's not like a risky thing, I guess, for the donor. The recipient it is, of course, because my body is not going to want to receive this kidney. It's going to be
Mhm.
like, who the hell's kidney is this? So I'll be on medicine to help the rejection. Your body, like we're our body wants to reject things like you get a splinter, an urchin in your foot, surfing. Our body rejects it, right? It knows that's not supposed to be there, so it rejects. So
Mhm.
that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be like, whoa, this isn't your organ. What is this? Get this out of here. So you have to be very precise with that. So I'm going to be on medicine for the rest of my life. Not that's fine, that's fine. It's just that's the way it goes. But I I'm just I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not depressed at all. Like because again, at the moment I feel good. I mean,
Yeah.
so
And I think you're going about all the right way. And, I think you're really the example for things like this, why it's so important to try to keep your body as healthy as you're able to, because we just never know what's going to happen. And as you said a couple of times, we're very fortunate you've taken care of yourself as well as you have, or this whole thing might be different. Um, Ray, just from kind of from your perspective, from your side of this now, do you want to say anything about the importance of or your appreciation for living donors, whether organ or even blood donations with the pending surgery?
yeah, I mean, now that I'm, especially I've donated blood a few times in my life, and it's definitely felt great. I was funny. I was nervous, more nervous doing that than I am about this for some reason. I don't know why, but I think because I've learned education, I've learned a lot more about
Mhm.
it. And I know of some people that have been donors. I didn't know them well, but they've been donors, and I never really thought to be one myself. Now I kind of wish I had, uh, offered,
Mhm.
long time ago. I just it was out of fear, not out of I don't wouldn't do it. I was just afraid. I don't do well at the hospital. Even at the dentist, I'm very, very, very nervous. And so I've learned, like I said, I've learned a lot about it, and I'm just thank you, and I think it's like an amazing thing. And I've talked to so many people since I've announced it or we've announced it, and they've said, Ray, hey Ray, I donated. I'm like, wow, you did? I was just like blown away. Or people are uh, offering me like, hey, where can I get tested? I had two women like within an hour of my post that Newport Buzz did messaged me and asked if they could be tested to be a donor. So I just didn't even know what to say to that, and so they have done it, and I think it's on hold at the moment. So
Mhm.
some of the testing I'm actually not done with yet. We it takes a while to do this very
Mhm.
extensive blood work, and I think it takes up to a month. And I was just there. What it was a week ago, right? Last week.
Mhm.
So whatever the day after I announced it, I is when I was there. So last Tuesday, I believe. So
Mhm.
yeah, anyone that donates blood, especially, that's really no big deal. Your body remakes a whole new pint. It really does. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's safe. It's clean. Um, and yeah, I recommend you do it. I have AB blood type. I'm very, very blessed. That's the most versatile when receiving. And anyone that would donate an organ is just brave. That's all I can say. That's the only word I can think of. And I wish I was brave enough sooner in my life to at least. I know you can put it on your identification.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, I want to be a donor. So I learned a lot about this stuff. So it's very it's an amazing thing, and it, there's a lot of people. And I'm not, this is not just about me. There are a lot of people in need. But I feel like regardless, you should take care of yourself, whether you're in need or I want to live for a very long time, so I don't take anything for granted. I don't. So I hear some people, oh, I don't want to be, 99, and I do, I do. I don't want to go. I don't want to go I don't want to go anywhere. So I'm doing this. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
and I want to help. With any way I can with other people that are in the same boat. So
So Ray, last question I'm going to ask you about this, and then we'll hop into the rest of our topics. But we know you have a lot of work that you still want to do. We know that you still have a lot of work that you're going to do. And I know we had talked a little bit about wanting to spread awareness for this kind of thing that you're going through, and wanting to get back to the community in some ways. And I've been seeing you do some stuff. Do you have any projects in the works or anything that you want to do once we get through this recovery period?
yeah, well, I do want to learn more about Lyme
Mhm.
disease, and I do want to be, some kind of an advocate or spokesperson for what's happened to me. There has to be someone else out there like me that needs, is in sort of time
Mhm.
crunch, who's in the health that I'm in. That maybe they think, oh, it's over, and they just want to just, you know, wait around and hope for the best and sort of be scared and be down. I don't do that. I would like to talk to that person. And you could say that I've started a whole new I don't know, career, if you will, since I've learned this. I have. I've got a really incredible opportunity at a university close by as an assistant swim coach. It's like a dream job for me.
Mhm.
Going to be doing that. Some involvement there, and then some other aquatic stuff that I'm going to be doing on the military base here by my home. So I'm trying to give back. You know what I mean? I want to, in the meantime, keep doing what I've been doing in 4 decades, and also now I have a whole new thing here with its awareness of, basically don't give in to it, and it can work out, and you can reverse things, and I just feel like um, I can will myself to get better. Like
Mhm.
whether it's a cold or an injury, come up, lame from a hamstring pull or something like that. I really believe it's mind over matter, and you can sort of get to stay positive. And
Mhm.
I actually, another thing too is a lot of my friends and family, like, I don't like to talk about it too often. It's about myself. I have a heart. I
Mhm.
don't really like to, like poor me and that kind of thing. But it's just not my style. But I'll discuss it with someone else. That's for sure. Tell you how I
Mhm.
feel with regard to them, not so much myself. I really just want to. I'm treating it like a job. Like I'm just. I know I have so much help. Obviously, I can't do it alone, but I'm pretending like I am because it's me. It's my body, and I'm responsible for it. And I'm the one that wants to stay here. So,
Mhm.
and I have a family. So, and I want to see them for a long time. So and I have friends, and I love what I do. I just love what I do. I'm just getting started. I love coaching and training people. So that's motivation right there. I don't want to let all these people go or down. That's really, you know, that's really what I'm concerned with. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a beautiful message. So I know it's not easy, especially for you to kind of open up and talk about yourself with these situations. But I know that I know we've talked about some things that you're going to do, and I know there's going to be a lot of positive outcomes coming out of this. So you have the entire community support behind you. We just want to see you be happy and be able to get back out there and continue the work that you've always done. Um, So I think this is a good point for us to kind of segue into our typical triathlon talk. And again, I just want to reiterate to everyone your contact information. If anyone's going through the same stuff that you're going through, if anyone has any questions, If anyone can relate to your story or your message, what's the best way and email to get in contact with you?
So my website is raybotellofitness.com, and my email is my name, so raymond.botelho@yahoo.com. Anytime.
Yeah, and I know you mean that too. So if anyone's ever listening to this podcast and has questions for Ray or
Mm.
is going through something similar or just looking for general information, Ray's been really, really big on trying to spread information and make sure people are well educated on these topics. And to be honest, that's how this stuff works. You know, it's hard to be a professional in everything. So sometimes when we're able to just share and connect with others and create that community, we can help everyone try to, you know, get to the best situation they can, even when things look bleak. I also want to mention uh, everything that you said, Ray, is so great and positive, and having a positive mindset is so important when it comes to health and recovery and general wellness. There is a physiological component to positive mental health, and for something that seems so grim, you're without a doubt having one of the most positive outlooks that we can have. And I think that's a really important message to spread for anyone. um, as always, we'll put in the chat if anyone is struggling with mental health concerns or doesn't know how to handle something or um, can't find a resource to turn to. We'll put the general national helplines in the text of this video. You can also reach out to our team at bebeautifulfoundation.org. We do have the entire counseling and mental health team behind us. So if nothing else, even if you're in a different state, depending on where your background is and what you're from, we can help locate resources within your area to try to help you out as well.
Thank you.
Okay. So Ray, with that, I know I want to try to lighten the mood a little bit and move into some of the things that we,
Sure.
we like to talk about a little bit more. And recently, with the coming really close, getting into the start of the general triathlon season, everyone's starting to ramp up their training. And I thought we could take this opportunity, building off of this talk, to discuss a little bit of overtraining, which you mentioned earlier. I think it's really important to understand the limits of training. I think your message goes right with how overtraining can impact your body. I want to hear a little bit about your philosophy on it as a coach and an athlete, and also just general guidelines and safety information for especially the newer athletes that don't realize you don't need to train 8 days a week, and that we can get quality training with days off and try to get to that start line healthy first and foremost. I think that's our number one goal. So we'll banter a little bit back and forth about beliefs. I'll definitely chime in with what I learned in my journey with you about what it means to overtrain, and especially what overtraining looks like when you come from a team of non triathlon related coaches and then get linked to someone like yourself with years of experience. And specifically, what I'm talking about is I know when I got linked with you now, what's it been, right? 5 years. I was
Yeah,
coming
at
from a
least.
team of accomplished marathon runners, accomplished bodybuilders. We had not a swimmer. We had a national cyclist on my team. I didn't have an elite swim coach at the time, but together I have um, one of the only two nutritionists I've ever trusted in my life, professional bodybuilder, neuroendocrinologist. And those guys together were doing everything they could. And I honestly were seeing really big gains within the individual sports. But what was happening with me is I was constantly fatigued. I wasn't able to put the whole package together. I could go out and cycle like a madman at the time, but I couldn't do it coming off a swim and be ready to go into a run. And knowing what I know now, after working with you for so many years, it was a simple issue. We were overtraining and we were focused too much intensity in the wrong spots. My heart rate zones were absolutely too high. I know that now in hindsight. So we were packing in way too much intensity, way too much volume, not enough rest days, and just that culminated into injuries almost rapidly within a 3 month span. I know you see it all the time. I still see it when I'm working with our guys. So what are your thoughts on the overtraining?
Well, first of all, you have to have an incredible base, aerobic base. That means low intensity, low heart rate, hours and hours and hours built up into your body, into your engine, if you will, to be able to tolerate any other type of intensity. So the excuse I'm hearing is I'm time crunched, so I do all intensity.
Hmm.
Well, I just don't. That's not a good enough excuse for me. So if you're a family person, you have a family, you have kids, you have a real job, that's not really the way to approach it. I'd rather you spend all of your time just building up your aerobic base and then introduce the intensity. The intensity is the last piece. So if you look at a full-time professional triathlete or any full-time professional athlete, yeah, you really all you see them doing is intensity, 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 because this is their job, this is their career. They do it all day long, every week, every month. Maybe they take a break here and there, but like they're racing pretty much year round. Now we race year round, and so yeah, so what they're doing is fine tuning, right? Everything because they're racing, right? What they don't really show you much of is the base work. Let's take professional cycling for example. Like say the Tour de France, right? Yeah, that's in July, right? Well, the cycling season just started this last few weeks or so, and it's building up and right to all the grand tours. And but those guys go off on their own and they ride 500 miles, 600 miles in a week at the lowest possible intensity. Yeah, there's tons of elevation. They're up, a lot of them live in altitude, live in the mountains, that sort of thing. But they spend at least a block, if you will, or whatever amount of time that is on low intensity volume, building up the tolerance for what's coming. Lots of racing. And a lot of guys, I've even done this, race yourself into shape, where you just race until you pop one. And then you go into a dosage phase where you work on more intensity than anything. And then, you get through the season that way carefully, hopefully injury free. But without the volume piece, the durability aspect, you're just going to keep getting injured and keep having setbacks and plateau, and you're not going to ever improve. Now, at the lowest end, a beginner, first time triathlete, whatever distance, you need to have the at least be able to cover the distance plus 10%. So if you're doing an Olympic distance, you know, say, if you want to base it on the mileage or the time, go 10% beyond in every discipline. So if it's the swim, you go 10% over, the bike, 10% over, the run, 10%, same thing, right? So that way, you at least, you can cover the distance because, I mean, obviously we're covering the distance. Obviously that's the event, but if you train, let's say, if you're training for a 40K bike, a 24.8 mile bike, but you're regularly riding 18 miles. Well, what about the rest of the distance, if you will, or what? And then if you're just working on like high intensity, say you do like a high intensity half-hour ride with some recovery, and it ends up being, it's just not enough. So you're talking about Ironman. If you're not at some point of your process, or the preparation, or what have you, the season, if you're not covering the distance, then chances are you're very new to the sport. So let's take me, just go with 20 years.
Hmm.
Obviously I've covered the distance how many times because of between the racing and the training. The way I chose to train, I've covered the distance. So my body remembers. You have that memory each year to year, and it does improve if you stay with it. So that's why I think too with the off season, quote unquote, the way I sort of work things, you don't really need an off season. We build the off season into every single week. I don't see what the harm is in that. So if you take a day off per week on average, every now and again, 2 days off, but then an extreme amount of recovery pace training, that's still hours on your body. It's still acquiring fitness. Whether your heart rate is 110 or, you know, 140, you're still gaining fitness. Now, you could say that if you're 110 or at your max at 185, that's not acquiring fitness. That's just acquiring fatigue. You
Hmm.
have to. There's a big misconception. Intensity, all intensity does is make you extremely tired and fatigued. It does not make you faster. The faster portion comes from all the building blocks of the recovery, the endurance, the tempo, that to me, by the way, tempo is zone two. I hear a lot of talk about zone two, a lot of zone two,
Thank
do a
you.
lot of zone two. That is tempo. That is our race pace, especially for an Ironman.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's coming from, and I understand that the traditional zone is zone one up. So if
Yep.
it's zone one and it's zone two, with me we've got zone R recovery, so it's zone R, zone one, zone two. So technically, you could say we're at zone three, but
Yeah.
we're not because the zones again we've covered all this. I set them way low. Just the first zone is so low, so easy, if you will, that when you come up, it's really works out to be the same thing because threshold is threshold. Everyone has threshold, and you're not doing an Ironman at threshold. You're just not. Okay. Now, when I say that, threshold is relative to heart rate, or if you want to use lactate testing, it's the same darn thing. Heart rate is and lactate, it's the same thing, one or the other. Heart rate gives you a broader um, spectrum, if you will. I just feel like it does. And so when you do a bulk of your training in what I know as zone one, not zone two,
Mm-hmm.
zone one, those match up with probably the industry zone two now, what everyone's
Yep.
calling zone two.
Mm-hmm.
But threshold, look, you don't go threshold is not when we're talking about Ironman training, especially that's my specialty in 70.3. You're not the average triathlete, Ironman triathlete, is not racing at threshold. They're not. Okay, that's an upper echelon. It's a very, very small dosage of case of athletes. But even still, you take some of these guys that how fast they're going, their heart rate's low. Quite frankly, if their VO2 max is north of say 65, and they're mid 30s, or excuse me, mid 20s, not even 30 years old yet, and they're doing Ironman, their heart rate, I can assure you, is around 150.
Mm-hmm.
It is. That's efficiency. It's not at 175. It's not
Mm-hmm.
at it's not at their max. They're not riding 112 miles at 27 miles an hour. It's crazy fast, but they're not in there. It's not a threshold
Mm-hmm.
event. Maybe 70.3. It's a whole different story. The 70.3 is now an international distance race, Olympic distance race.
Yep.
It's full gas at the professional level.
Mm-hmm.
You basically go as hard as you can. But again, there's a limit. I mean, you have a limit. But when we're talking, I'm a coach of mostly novice triathletes, beginner triathletes. Yeah, I tailor it based on the experience, but it, the plan that which I have learned to love myself. I've seen what it did for me in my 40s. It goes for whether you're a beginner or professional. It starts with balance and a rest day and lots of recovery sessions. I mean, I just don't know how you could debate that. I mean, there's no, it's not sabotage. You're
Mm-hmm.
not worse off. I mean, you're just not. And just because something works doesn't make it right. Where these people they train 7 days a week. Some people are claiming to train 30 hours a week. I mean, I feel like if you have that kind of talent where you're going under 4 hours for 70.3 and you're going under 8 hours for an Ironman, you do not need to train for 30 hours. You don't. So for a 12-hour Ironman or a 6 hour half Ironman, you do not need you need less because I've seen it where I take a guy, a 12-time Ironman. He's around the 11-hour mark. He's training 22 hours a week. I bring him down to 15. He does better. I mean, it's fact. I have it. I have done it. And again, that's just one case. It doesn't mean it automatically works. But like this is what I've been doing with my athletes, getting close to 500 Ironman finishes now. Since officially 2007, I was coaching, and I mean, I was always like the first thing I do is I look and okay, we're taking one of these days out. You're not training 7 days a week anymore. You don't. It's not necessary. So show me where 7 days a week at 20 plus hours is going to get you a better time than 6 hours and 13 to 15 hours. It's
Mhm.
basically the same thing. But guess what? That day off is immense. It's huge. And people just for some reason don't want to trust it. It's not me, and I'm not taking it personally. They just don't want to trust it. I'm super excited to coach university swimming because I talked to the coach and he's guys guys on it long, been coached for a long time, but he was asking me about like the whole taper and
Mhm.
recovery and day off kind of thing. And swimming is one of those sports, even running track and field, for some reason they don't take a day off. And, it's like more and more and more and more. Well, I feel like if you've got someone who, swims 146 seconds, and they swim twice a day, or yeah, twice a day, 7 days a week, the entire season, or on average. I mean, you don't think they'll get that 46 on six
Yeah,
days off every one? You don't. I just don't, because it's one thing
exactly.
you,
It's
you
not
can
taking
debate it.
anything away. Yeah, it's not
It,
taking anything away.
I feel like, and again, so that's how I deal with talent, right? And no offense to a beginner or novice triathlete that thinks they need to train every day and
Mhm.
and 24 hours, 25 hours to get to a 13-hour finish. Absolutely not. I mean, you do not. You just don't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And it
It's
try to
gonna be
try and
difficult, right?
trying to copycat a professional triathlete that you saw on YouTube is just not, that you can't. It's just not the way to do it. And yeah, um, there's a million ways to skin a cat, but there's one way to fry yourself, and that's to just think that you have to train every single day, and it's about more and more and more. In some
Mhm.
cases, it's less, less, less.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, I have a question for you then. Um, Specifically about the long distance athletes for
mm,
Ironman, full Ironman distance. I know obviously half Ironman distance is already a huge commitment, but we know when we're getting ready for the full, we're basically doing the same stuff. We're just ramping up and adding a little bit of volume. You said something interesting before about racing your way into fitness, and I
mm,
think for the average first time, even people that do it inconsistently, full distance Ironman, the training is very mundane because it's just putting in reps and it is doing it every day and it can get boring. So we like to race just to mix things up, and having those goals in mind help motivate us to train more. If I know I have, and it doesn't have to be a full triathlon, but if I'm training for a full and I know I have a half marathon in a month, it gives me something to shoot. So, and I know I've talked to you about this one a lot because you hold me back from signing up into every race under the sun.
mm.
How often should someone be racing as they're building up into a full or even a half distance Ironman? And what's your take on, well, I know what your take is from experience, but what's your take to tell everyone about um, how much time should be in between our last like real race before we get into our full distance or Ironman? How much time do we need to rest and recover from a race before we can go into our full distance Ironman?
Yeah. Well, first thing, I would I would be okay with someone racing every week
Mhm.
in some point if you can handle it mentally. The excuse of, oh, it's a training race or it's a B race or it's a C race. No,
Mhm.
just it's a race. So
Yep.
just do the race. So I did it myself. I would I'm talking about local races, obviously, not train hardly at all and then go and do a sprint, right? And then do another one and then do another one. But during the week, lots of recovery. I mean, take days off and then go right back to, and then build the volume up, you know, build the recovery up, move up to another distance, right? So, if you can handle that, then you can do that. But if you can't go to a race and say, I'm not in shape right now, and keep that between you and the fence post, and
Mhm.
just do the race, then I say don't do it. don't race until you're ready. You're not going to use that excuse. And races though are a great experience to get those nerves, get used to those nerves, to work out a routine, for your meals, and then when to show up at the transition and how to set up your bike and that sort of thing, and just to get into the environment, and it becomes very, very second nature. Like for me, like it's so many races, like from local sprints to what halves, Ironman, what huge Ironmans, smaller scale Ironman. So it doesn't even phase me until like right before the gun goes off. But it's just experience. I know what to expect. I know what to expect, like being in the lead, right? Being in the lead of the swim, or being in the lead of the bike, or getting chased down by someone on the run. Maybe I'm at a race and there's some young local super fast kid or something like that, or something like that. It's all good experience. I know what to expect, and a lot of people take things for granted, or they set their goals too high. You got to be very realistic with your goals, right? You never know who's going to be around. I can tell you, I've done many races, and it turned out there's a faster guy there than me, and everyone's like, "Oh, Ray, it's going to win." Well, I came in second, and I can think of many times where I came in second. It's fine. I raced all over the place, but anyway, racing is good experience. If you're going to do, I would say the ultimate would be, so for example, it's just going to sound very stock, very standard, but it's very practical. So if you're going to be a first time Ironman, right? Let's run a half marathon, right? Then let's maybe do maybe a marathon, right? If we've got, let's say we've got a year almost, or 8 months, 10 months, absolutely plan it out. We're doing volume, but let's throw a half Ironman in there, excuse me, a half marathon in there. And then maybe we're in a couple months down the road, we'll throw in a marathon, or something like that, and then sort of phase out of the run focus, if you will. But when I say run focus, mean like a running race of that distance, that's a serious, you're committed to that. But all along, we are swimming, we are doing strength training, and we are cycling a lot. But then it comes, Ironman's getting close. Maybe we've got 12 weeks, something like that, 16 weeks, 4 months. Then let's try to do a half Ironman, right? Like maybe throw in a half, maybe a month before, something like that, and then really get some experience. And you also see where you are, because that gives you time to do some more training. If you're doing a half, maybe you take a lighter week, or again, the way I plan things, you build and you do the half, and then you just keep going. You really have a recovery day or two, and then just keep going. But again, with low intensity. This is where I'm saying where it sounds like a lot of hours, but it's a lot of volume, a lot of low intensity volume. And when I say that, I mean it. Like, you can see the heart rates. The intention is zone 1 or recovery, right? Not much sort of tempo or race pace efforts, or certainly no high intensity. You just raced, right? So we want to keep building the durability piece, and then introduce race pacing simulation and intensity. Now, if you're doing an Ironman, again, I don't really understand why you're focusing on, again, a novice, first timer, or second timer. Even to me, novice is you've done 3 or 4 Ironman. It's still novice to me. There's still so much to learn, and so much, but again, so much improvement can come. The quote unquote high, I didn't say intensity, but the high intensity in preparation for an Ironman, I just don't understand that. Because if you're focusing on like a 12, 13 hour Ironman, I don't know what the intensity is for, other than, again, it's going to just make you tired. That's all it's going to do, is make you tired and set you back. Instead of doing recovery pieces and endurance pieces, like focusing on covering the distance. If you go out, you can go out and do a 4-hour ride in your zone 1, you can do one of those every week or a couple times a week spaced out. But if you're trying to like do something with FTP or
Hmm.
any kind of VO2, like I just don't know how VO2 would correlate for a beginner novice Ironman. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, that stuff is introduced at different areas, parts of the plan. But I mean, honestly, it's about focusing on covering the distance first. First, cover the distance, and then have the durability to be able to run on very heavy legs,
Hmm.
right? I just don't know where those like, what if you've got a budgeted amount of time. Let's say you've got 17 hours
Hmm.
for a week. I don't know why you'd want to spend any time on intensity, that far out from an Ironman when you want to. Have you even covered 112 miles yet? Chances are no. It's just what I'm seeing. Chances are no. Have you run 20 miles? Have you swim? How about this? Have you swim 4,200 yards? Have you swim? Have you actually swim? Not added up total. If you swim a straight 4,200, well, why does everyone want to run 20 miles and bike 130 miles, but they don't want to swim? Right? They don't want to swim. I mean, I just feel like that's my thinking, right? Never mind an hour bike ride where you're in a zone that you'll never see on race day, or do a swim that's because the thing I talked to Colin about this on the podcast with him. It's like he's a good swimmer. I'm a real good swimmer. Like it's like you still, if you fake the swim, you're gonna pay for it, right? You're
Hmm.
gonna pay for it because you're not tuned to be able to get on the bike. And so my strength is the bike. So if I fake the swim and slock my swim training, I'm not going to be able to ride in the
Hmm.
zone that I want to ride for on the bike to have my best race. It's going to hurt. And then it's a snowball effect. It's going to affect my run. So this thing about not swimming as much or not focusing on the swim, or I'm not a good swimmer, or it's not a big part of the race. You're off the chart with that. You're way off with that
Yeah.
because it's going to make the swim that could be, well, there never would never use the word easy, but if the swim was more feasible
Hmm.
because you swam 3 days a week in on average of 3,500 yards, and you can cover the distance because you tested it. That's fitness, right? You can
Hmm.
do it, right? And then you can transition and get on the bike, and whatever it is you've worked out during your training, you can get to that. You realistically get into that zone and work that zone, and then you can run because you've practiced or simulated all these things. But if you just sort of brush off swimming, then what you think you're capable of on the bike is it's not happening because you're not swimming. The average swimmer, what is it, an hour and 20, hour and a half, right?
Yeah. About an
So
hour and a
for
half.
a 12-hour Ironman or a 13-hour Ironman, I mean, that's a significant piece. And swimming is so technical and so taxing in the fueling process, right? So you're already depleted, and you'll be depleted even more so because of what happens. So with an unfit athlete, higher heart rate. So
Yep.
higher heart rate, more burn, more fuel required. More your anaerobe, you're even more. So it complicates things. When all you need just swim, just swim. You know, and I
Yeah.
believe in, again, chunky, straight sets, 400s, 500s, 800s, 1000s, 1200s, straight 30-minute intervals,
Hmm.
at a tempo pace, or even just an aerobic pace. You, again, build up the tolerance and then go and work on, some sort of intensity. But
Hmm.
again, this is prescription for timed crunch athletes, someone who has a real job, has 3 kids, right? I mean,
Hmm.
but even still, whether you're single or you're not, they're doing more is not going to get you any further, right? It's just not. It's balance is what's going to get you balance. Balance will get you your best shot. You'll get your best result with balance. And balance to me is volume covering the distance plus 10% at some point. I'll take a 5 hour ride at 17 miles per hour over any hour and a half zone, whatever you want to call 4 or 5 ride any
Yep.
day of the week, right? So because that person, when you go on those group rides, those community rides, that person is the one that's overpacing the ride, messing up the ride, making the ride yo-yo, fast and slow, fast and slow. Then after an hour and a half, they're done. And oh, well, I got to ride 5 hours, right? So that's that moral, right? So I think
Yeah.
we've all probably experienced that,
Yeah,
and
at some point.
it's two different worlds too. It's two different cadences, two different worlds: road
Yeah.
cycling and time trial and Ironman. And so, again, I always say to people too, if you're pressed for time, if you had a brick plan, say a 2 hour ride and a 30-minute run, and you don't have basically probably 3 hours what you need, right? Because by the time you get dressed and undressed, and blah, blah, 3 hours. If you don't have 3 hours, cut the bike down and still do the brick, right? Instead of, here's the classic one, do the ride and then don't run at all. See, that's not balance, right? You're setting yourself back. And, or, I would say in that case, you've probably had the situation, hour and a half ride, 20-minute run, right? Or something like that. You know, that's balance, not
Yeah.
skip the
I'm gonna
run.
jump in there for a second for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Because you said something that's gonna shock anyone that's listened to the whole podcast. You just said 20-minute run, and I actually just had this conversation with uh with someone the other day, and I did this exact thing. I went out for a ride with my buddy, and he said, "Well, why don't you just cut your run and we'll finish out the ride?" And I said, "You would be amazed at how much just that 20-minute run off the bike, just mentally and putting it in your legs to just know that
Hmm.
your heart rate's going to be high and you need to settle down and just relax and move your feet and wait for you to warm up." And when I explained it to him, he was like, "Okay, cool, no problem." But I knew for me, just not having time to get that 40-minute run in, just that 15 minutes is what I have right now off the bike. It's just so important. So when you talk about balance,
Hmm.
this is what we're talking about with people
Hmm.
and any new triathletes thinking about this. I've done where I was super pressed for time, and I did 45 minutes on the bike and jumped off for a 15-minute run after because I only had an hour. And neglecting putting that in your legs after the run, if you're not ready for it, those first 3 miles off the bike are the hardest part of the run. If you can get through that, you're ready for the run, or you will be ready. So balance is everything, and Ray, also just a mindset too. I know today's kind of a shorter podcast for us, but we'll
Yeah.
definitely talk more about what that mindset looks like, and I can talk a little bit about common themes that we get into, and then also some of the things that you've heard as a coach over years and years of hearing positive feedback and negative feedback, also maybe some excuses in there as well, and how we actually overcome those things. Um, so I think this is a good point to wrap up, Ray. I do want to first and foremost thank you again for sharing a little bit about your situation and telling people where to find you. If anyone has any questions, again, they can get a hold of you on your website or via email at raymond.botelho@yahoo.com for anyone listening that wants to know more about Ray's situation, where to donate, or more information just about the topic in general. For myself, if anyone wants to learn more about the Be Beautiful Foundation, including Be Beautiful Fitness, Be Beautiful Counseling, or Be Beautiful Images, all of our nonprofit projects that aimed at promoting mental health and well-being, especially for individuals living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. You can check us out at our website. You can reach out to us at info@bebeautifulfoundation.org. Either one of my teams, we do virtual counseling and virtual mental health services for anyone in need. Um, we are located in New Jersey for hands-on fitness. Coach Ray has, I'll let him give where his new gym is. Ray, I know you just got done building a awesome new facility that looks amazing.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
so I'll let you chime in about
Well,
that for a second.
yeah, I've had a private studio on Cape Cod, Mashpee, Cape Cod for almost 15 years now, and I partnered up with a great orthopedic surgeon here in on the island, and I'm going to be using his facility with him. And he did some updates to it, and I'm going to start working on it there. It's here on the Quinnic Island in Portsmouth, technically. So you'll be seeing more about that. So I'll be doing a lot of personal training there. So I'll be going back and forth from there to my Cape studio, and then I'll be announcing Very excited about where I'll be coaching university swimming next fall. So that's going to be exciting. I'll be doing running the masters program as well, Monday and Wednesday mornings. So you hear more about that soon when it's really official. I'll talk more about that.
That's awesome, right? We can't wait to hear it. And then, as always, any triathletes looking to get into the sport, again, you can find your email Ray at the website, or via email. You can reach out to him directly. Social media at Raywatch73, Ray.
Yes.
Cool. And then, for us, again, at Be Beautiful Foundation for Facebook, Instagram, and of course, our YouTube channel, where we share the latest in fitness and counseling across the board. So, Ray, I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. I'll be bringing you a nice present for you to get back on board. And then maybe we can finally do it in person for those couple times a year that we actually get together, and we'll do a live podcast when we get there together.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, Ray. Always a pleasure. Everyone, thanks for joining in. And as
Thank you.
always, hashtag be beautiful, hashtag stay beautiful. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.